This is what Paul was trying to avoid when he was speaking to the Galatians. He was trying to help them grasp, no, we do not have to go back to Deuteronomy 28. If you go back to circumcision, you go back to Deuteronomy 28. If you go back to any part of the law, you go back to the curses of the law. This is what he's trying to tell them. This is the gospel message. We're saved by faith. And inheritance is given to us by faith. You see, this is why the prodigal son came up to his father, and he was in full faith, full assurance. He said, I want my inheritance. Why? Because he was a son of his father, and he didn't merit it. He took his inheritance and walked off in sin. But he received the initial inheritance, right? His initial inheritance, he did not earn it. He received it by faith. And he walked off into sin with it. Because inheritance are received by faith. And this is why the church is having difficulty seeing power for healing, power for finances, seeing the blessing of God on their lives. This is why we're bound, because we're still trying to earn it. You cannot earn an inheritance. An inheritance is given to you by birthright. As soon as you believe in Jesus, you are annexed to those who, like you're annexed to Abraham. Seed, by faith, you become a child of Abraham. And it's counted to you as righteousness. Your faith is counted to you as works. It's as if you'd accomplished all the works of the law. And so, at that point, you receive salvation. And the word salvation does not just mean saved. And this is where people get that word wrong. Salvation is not translated saved. Salvation means blessed. Financially, blessed. Health, in your health, blessed in your emotions, blessed spiritually, blessed in every area of your life. You are blessed. And in your seed shall blessing come to all the nations of the earth. Salvation is going to come to all the nations of the earth. They will be blessed. You see, this is the blessing of Abraham. Woo, 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 woo. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and you shall be a blessing, and I will bless those that bless you, and curse the one that curse you, and in you shall all nations of the earth be blessed. The whole world is going to be blessed through Christ. There are no curses for those who believe. We are redeemed from the curse of the law, and we receive the blessing of Abraham. Oh. It's still sort of, I don't know, but I feel I must do something. How many people feel they still need to do something to get it? At least one person's honest. How many people feel they need to still do something to earn it? Just come clean, yes. So is there any law? That's the next natural question. Is there any law? Yes. But it's not the law of Moses. It's Christ's law. And this is my commandment, he said, that you shall love one another. Because he who loves his neighbor accomplishes all the law. So you see, the New Testament, some people have got this wrong. The New Testament is not just a new series of laws. Some people read the New Testament as if it was the old law of Moses. They've got so many things to do. We don't have a new law. We have the law of love, which is the law of blessing. Because it says you will be a blessing. You cannot kill your neighbor if you're going to bless him. You cannot steal from him. You cannot commit adultery with his wife. You cannot, right, lie to him if you're going to be a blessing. See, the blessing contains the law of love. You shall be a blessing. The New Testament is the law of love applied to your culture. The writings of Paul were not new laws. If you read it like that, you have misunderstood. All the New Testament is the application of the law of love to your culture. If you're in Corinth, it's better that men have short hair and women have long hair. Because in Corinthia, the women with short hair are prostitutes, and the men with long hair are prostitutes. And all through the Roman Empire, it was that way. That was the custom and the culture. If you were writing to the Vikings, you could not make the same application. Come on now. If you're writing to the people in India, you will not tell the women to take off their veils. It'll be offensive to people. Actually, Christians that go to India, many of them, the women put on veils. It's the law of love. You don't want to be a hindrance. You don't want to be an offense. Do you follow me? So people have been reading the New Testament all wrong. They think it's a new set of laws. No, we don't. We've been redeemed from the curse of the law and the law. The law of love is in our heart, and it tells us what to do in different contexts. If you're writing to the Vikings, don't tell their women to put veils on. And don't tell their men to get short hair. It just won't work. You might want to write to them about not chopping people's heads off with their axes. Right? You are going to... What's the point of talking to them about that? Because it doesn't offend them. It's not their culture. Are you with me? Whew. And some people read that and apply it today, and that's where you get weird-looking churches. Because they're trying to read a law. Like they want a law. They want some kind of thing to do to earn something. I can earn my salvation if I do all these things. So we'll put a veil on and we'll earn. Hello. And Paul was writing to different cultures. For example, remember the one where he says if the women shouldn't talk in the church and they should ask their husbands afterwards, right? If you want to know that, the explanation of that, many Jews were coming to Christ, and in many areas, it was the whole synagogue that was coming to Christ. Okay? And then now, in the synagogue, they had a culture. And the woman would sit at the back, and the men would sit at the front, and there was a wall of division. And sometimes that didn't come down right away. And what happened is, in their culture, the men would listen. The word wasn't really made for the woman, and so the woman would just sit in the back, behind the wall, and chat. And every now and then the rabbi or the priest or whatever would say something concerning, there's going to be a festivity we're going to have on this date, and one of the woman's ears would perk up and say, "Hey, what did he say, Joseph?" And they would yell to their husbands to find out the explanation. And this still goes on in some places in the world. And many Jews were coming to Jesus, and they had kept that culture, and the woman was sitting in the back, the men were sitting in the front. And you weren't going to change that way. So the law of love applied to that culture is hey, listen, don't shout during the service. Ask your husband later. Go and apply that now, and you make a big mess, and women cannot talk in churches. And you know what you do when you do that? You void the law of love. It actually, you lose the love in that. Because you see, the law of love is the rule. If you follow the law of love, you accomplish all the law naturally. So we're not under a written law, we're under the law of love. We're to respect each other. Love each other as we love ourselves and take care of each other and be cautious. This is why Paul said he would become like a Jew, be a Jew under the Jews. Otherwise, listen there's another contradiction in the Scriptures. So many contradictions. For example, Paul says to Timothy, we're going to go get circumcised. Right? What's that about? If he's just told us, if you try to accomplish one part of the law, you're under the curse. So Timothy's under the curse? No. For him, Timothy was doing it out of love for the Jewish people because that's all they could understand. It was the law of love applied to that situation. Whew! That's why there's so many contradictions in the New Testament. And if you try to follow it, you will go nuts. Because at one point you'll say, well, maybe I should do as Timothy and I'll go get circumcised. You'll miss the point. And then some people will cut their hair and then grow their hair and put veils on and then put high heels on. I don't know where that's in, but anyway. But... and then law, and the law, the basic principle is out of love. I'm going to be like a Jew with the Jews, Gentile with the Gentiles, Greek, like a Greek with the Greeks. And out of love, I'm not going to offend my neighbor. This is why the law of eating meat doesn't apply to us. Otherwise, that would be a ridiculous thing to right? We don't have sacrificed meats, but in some countries they do have sacrificed meats. We're no longer under the law. We have been redeemed from the law. Whew! And as sons now of God who have an inheritance, we're expected to follow the principles of our Father, which is love. God is love, and He wants us to act as His Son did, giving our lives one for another, being generous one to another. This is why some of you will have this I need to explain. Tithes came before the covenant. The principle of tithing came between chapter 12 and chapter 15. Just before he believed. It didn't come in the law. Why? Because it's the principle of blessing. I will bless you. Okay, God, I'm going to bless you back. It's just an act of love towards God. It's not a law. You don't have to do it to get blessing. But you see the principle. You see, I'm blessed and I bless. I will bless you and you shall be a blessing. God blesses us and He wants us to bless. We could actually give more. Abraham gave a tenth, but it's not about a tenth. It's really about turning around and blessing God. I think a tenth is a minimum. And I'm not putting this down as a law. It's not a law. Don't do it as a law. Do it out of love. It's not a condition. It wasn't in the conditions. It was just something that Abraham did. When he was blessed, he blessed God. It's the law of love. I'm blessed and I bless. I receive salvation and I give salvation. I receive finances and I give finances. I receive health and I give health. Do you follow me? This is the principle that Jesus tried to teach, but we were so jammed up in earthly strongholds, we could not grasp the gospel message. And so it gets distorted with the ages. Unlearned men twist it. And so we get a diluted gospel. And now we're doing things to get our inheritance. We have to do this and this and this to get saved. Now I need to share something. Our full inheritance is going to come when we see Him, right? We don't have it all right now, and this needs to be explained. The fullness of it comes when Jesus comes back, for we know in part right now, right? But one day we will see Him face to face, and we will know Him fully as we're known of Him. So on that day when we see Him, we will be like Him. The Bible says in 1 John 3 verse 2, for we shall see Him as He is, and we will have all knowledge, and our inheritance, the fullness of our inheritance will come, and we will live eternally after that. But until now, until then, we will die most likely. Unless Jesus comes between now and then. So you have the fullness of your inheritance will come when Jesus comes. And when you go to heaven, you're going to get the fullness of it. So, in every area of your life, there will be some things lacking still. In your finances, in your health. Oh, yeah, you can say, I've got perfect health, but you're still dying. You're perfectly dying. That's the fact of it. Pieces of you are falling off as we speak. Listen, I need to put that we need to get good teaching but balanced, okay? Otherwise you go off into tangents. And emotionally and spiritually, financially, all the fullness of all of our inheritance will come when we go to heaven. We can live in good health. I believe in that. I believe that God wants us to be healthy, prosperous. But the fullness of it all, we still haven't got it all, right? Agreed? We're going to get it all in heaven. Now, this means we still do need emotional healing. I struggled with this area when I was first teaching this because so did Cobus. So did a number of teachers. But we do need emotional healing because we know in part, and so our freedom is partial. The knowledge of the truth sets you free. We still need, but you see, the beauty of this is I can say, by faith, I am saved, right? We say, I am justified by faith, right? When you say, I am saved by faith, what are you saying? I'm healed, I'm prosperous, I'm blessed. It's still good to confess the truth. Are you with me? But that's not conditional. Because otherwise it becomes a law. Don't add anything to your faith. But it is good to confess truth. I am saved. It's not right to say I'm not saved. By faith, I am saved. And when you're saying that, you're actually saying, I am soteried. I am healed. I added an ED on the end of that. Soteried. Because I don't know the actual Greek verb. The past tense. So I am saved. You're actually, I am healed. I am blessed. I'm emotionally well. I'm prosperous. This is what salvation has come to bring. We have a tendency to go back to the law to earn God's favor. And if we can't do it with Mosaic law, we'll end up making our own laws and finding some laws somewhere, or making the law out of the New Testament becomes the new law. And then we make that as our new law to earn our salvation. And then you see, if you do that, then salvation doesn't come by faith. It now comes by a new law. This is I know that you're going to need time to digest this. How many of you, this is going in and you're grasping something here tonight? Good. I'm taking time on this. You might need to make this into 2 teachings. I don't know what you're going to have to do. But I prefer taking the time. As I see question marks, I'm trying to answer them. I'm used to doing this. And at one point I see that the message is clicked all over the place. And then I'm set free to go into the next part of the service. But I need to do this because there are questions. And over the next few days I will answer more questions concerning the law. But we are basically under the law of love. And this is my commandment, that you love one another. He said, if you follow my commandments, you will be my disciples indeed. And then he goes on and he said, and this is my commandment, that you love one another. And it's sort of like all of the things that Jesus said and all the things that Paul said is resumed in that commandment. Love one another, and you fulfill all the law. You don't fulfill Moses' law when you love one another. No, you can't fulfill Moses' law when you love one another. Moses' law, you've got to do too many things to fulfill Moses' law. But you fulfill Christ's law and God's initial law that he had way before Moses came. The law of love has always been the heart of God. And when you fulfill that, you fulfill Christ's law and God's law. The law of Moses, we have been redeemed from the law of Moses and the curse from that law. I'm just going to finish with this. I want to have a look at that again, just so that we grasp it. The promise was made to Abraham in Genesis 12. He believed it in Genesis 15. The covenant of circumcision came in Genesis 17. The promise was made to Christ and his seed. The covenant was made between Abraham and his seeds, or his descendants, the people of Israel. We get the blessing of Abraham, which is just blessings, no conditions. And the law of love is not even a condition. The law of love is a duty. It's not conditional. You don't have to do the law of love even to get the blessing. You are blessed because you believed as Abraham. But you know what? As a son, we should live as sons, God said. And we should love one another. The thing is, if you don't and you pull away from God, you will end up being like the prodigal son. You will walk off with your inheritance, which you received by birthright. But if you go off on your own and go into sin and don't follow the law of love, you will end up wasting your inheritance. And that's what happens, because now that you are a son of God, Father disciplines those he loves. So if you do hurt one another, lie to one another, steal from one another, commit adultery, then you're breaking the principles of the law of love. You're not under a curse. You're not under the curse. You're under the discipline of a father. It's a big difference. Very important to grasp. And the discipline is that you're severed. You're apart. The branch is cut off from the vine and it starts withering, and you waste your inheritance. This is what Jesus said. This is the principle of the prodigal son. When he left his father's home, he wasn't under curses. All those curses didn't come upon him. He just wasted his inheritance. And he had to work hard to earn some money. And he had to eventually work with the pigs, and this was the discipline, right? Remember? He didn't start getting itches and confusion and mental illnesses and see, people believe that if they fall away from God, all the curses are going to come on them. No, we're redeemed from the curse of the law. There's a lot in this message, I know. If you leave, you're under discipline, but not a curse. You see, the curse, what is the curse? Curse means rejected from God. Separated from God completely. Left to be attacked by anything that's out there. When you're a son of God, you do not get rejected, you get corrected. A son is never rejected, he's corrected. Do you reject your children? No, you correct them. A loving father disciplines, but doesn't hope that a curse comes on them. This is the beauty. When we're redeemed, we become sons of God. We're no longer slaves, you see. Those who are under the covenant are slaves. And those of the promise are sons of God, as we explained this morning. And as a slave, if you don't follow the law, you get kicked out of the company. But a father never kicks his son out. He shouldn't. He corrects him, disciplines him, loves him, right? If the son leaves, he's always there for his son. He disciplines, corrects, loves, but never rejects. And there's some of these principles that I'm going to be teaching about, and it's going to become even clearer as we go along. But you see, this is why in Quebec we have not understood the gospel message. Because we've been so affected by law in our churches. Before we became Christians, we were used to doing works to earn God's favor. And somehow that works mentality has crept into the church. We get set free. We live these wonderful 3, 4, 5, 6 months a year or two of freedom. We're walking in the love of God. We don't know any law because we haven't read the scriptures yet. But we're just doing the law of God naturally. We're loved from God. We love our neighbors. We're just blessing. We're blessed. We bless. Do you follow me? And the blessing is flowing from us. Everybody we touch gets healed because we're walking in the blessing of Abraham when we first get saved. Remember that? We're blessed and we're blessing. And you talk to people, they listen. You pray with them, they get healed. They get blessed, they get saved. And you are a blessing, and all nations of the earth are getting blessed through you because you're walking in the blessing of Abraham. You haven't yet added any laws to your faith. And so you're naturally doing the law out of love. And you're accomplishing all the law of Christ out of love. You're not worried about long hair, short hair, skirts, no skirts. You're not thinking about that. Men are not wearing high heels. I'm sorry. You're not even there. Do you follow me? You're just walking naturally in the law of love. And I remember I had long hair because that wasn't an issue. I wasn't even thinking about it. And then somebody showed me the scriptures. That's when I started coming under the law. But before that, I was doing the law of love. And it was powerful. Oh, bringing people to Jesus by the hundreds. By the hundreds. Hundreds a week I was bringing to Jesus. Hundreds a week. That's what I would do every week. Hundreds. Many hundreds, sometimes up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 in a week. Preaching to crowds 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 times a week. Sometimes 3 times a day. just filled with the love of God. I was blessed. I was healed. Everything was going wonderfully. Remember that? Because you were living the promise. And then somebody came along and annexed some laws to you. You see, if you had read the scriptures realizing this is not laws for me, this is things I need to take into consideration and pray about, but this is, if I had realized that the law of the long hair, the short hair, wasn't there as a law for every Christian in the world, if I had realized that, I wouldn't have got bogged down by those kinds of things. I would have just continued. But you see, this is what happens to us in Quebec. We are so easily come back into bondage because we have known law as a rule in the church before we got saved. And it's just natural for us to go back, like the Jews went back, to go back to being saved by works. And when we do that, we come under the curse of the law because we're trying to earn our salvation again. And all those who are under the law, well, then they try to earn it. And as they try to earn it, they'll lose it. Jesus, I think it's clicking now. I think the penny has dropped, as they would say in England. You hear that expression before? You see, when you put a penny in the machine and you hear it drop, cling, the penny has dropped. Sometimes it doesn't drop, right? You put it in, you know it hasn't dropped. Now I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, the penny has dropped. Ooh. See, this is why this is so important, Christians. This is why it's so important to grasp this. Holy Spirit, come. Reveal your truth. We're saved by faith. Holy Spirit's right here, right now. There, yeah. He's right here, right now. We're saved by faith, not by works. There's many works we can do, we should do, but not to get saved. They're not conditions to be saved. They're fruit. Works are fruit. They show that, yes, there has happened something. There was an act of faith that took place. Works are a fruit of faith, but they're not a condition. When you make them a condition, that's where the dangerous part happens. Even the scriptures, many people have taken the scriptures of James and taken them out of context. He didn't say they were a condition. James said that they were a fruit. It shows that there has been a work of salvation. It's necessary. We do need fruit, but I look back on my life and I see tons of fruit, but I realize that I'm not perfect yet. God needs to do more work. Oh, Father, flow in this place. Flow in this place. Let the penny drop, Lord. Let us receive the blessing of Abraham by faith. Let healings flow in this place. Let emotional healing flow in this place. Let blessings of every kind just start flowing from heaven. We've been redeemed from the curse of the law that we might receive the blessing of Abraham. I will bless you. I will make you a great nation. You shall be a blessing. I will bless those that bless you and curse those that curse you. This is why you need to pray for your enemies, Jesus said. Because pray for your enemies. I will bless those that bless you, curse those that curse you. And through you all nations of the earth shall be blessed. all nations of the earth shall be blessed. This is the blessing of Abraham. When I grasped this, I realized that I was connected to the blessing of Abraham. There was a big pipe connected to me. A pipeline of blessings just flowing from the throne of God. I don't have to do anything. I'm blessed. I am blessed. I don't have to earn anything.